You know, all your hobbies, your skills, your little passions. What if they weren't just some random collection of things, but were actually part of a masterpiece in the making? Today, we are diving into the menagerie of our lives, our work, our passions, and the one thing that kind of complicates it all, money. Let's get right into it. So, the big idea for today's explainer is this word menagerie. Now, yeah, it literally means a collection of wild animals in a zoo, but we're talking about it in a different way. Think of it as that wild, varied mix of skills, hobbies, and interests that each of us picks up over a lifetime. So, what's in your personal menagerie? I mean, it's this awesome, eclectic mix of everything that makes you, well, you. It could be anything from doodling and writing poetry to programming and a love for math. But here's the thing. The real question is how we feel about all this stuff, because that's where things get interesting.
Just take a second and think about your own collection of skills and passions. Seriously, does it feel like a treasure chest full of amazing things you get to explore? Or does it sometimes feel more like a really heavy backpack, loaded with obligations and stuff you should be doing? The answer, a lot of the time, just depends on where your head is at.
And this, right here, just nails that feeling perfectly. When your mind is clear, that menagerie, all your stuff, is a total source of happiness and pride. But when you're overwhelmed, stressed out by daily life, those exact same interests can suddenly feel like a massive burden. So what's the big difference maker here? Well, it pretty much all comes down to one thing: balance. That super delicate state of work-life balance, it's like this invisible force that decides whether our passions feel like a gift or a weight. It is the tightrope we are all walking every single day. This brings us to a really cool idea about how we find opportunities hidden inside our menagerie, because it's not always about taking the big, obvious path that's right in front of you. In other words, sometimes the greatest adventures are waiting behind the smallest, most inconvenient-looking doors. It's a reminder that being curious and flexible often pays off way more than just waiting for some grand entrance to appear. But there is a massive force that often gets in the way of that flexibility. And now we have to talk about it. The ultimate disruptor, the thing that can throw our work-life balance and our entire relationship with our menagerie completely out of whack: money. Look, I know it sounds so cliche, but it's just true, isn't it? Money makes our own little worlds go round. It is a fundamental force that we all have to deal with, and its influence goes so much deeper than just paying the bills. And here's the really harsh reality of it. Because our emotions are so wrapped up in money, it can bring out the absolute worst in us. The stress, the fear around financial safety, it can cause people to act in ways they never, ever would otherwise. What's so insightful here is this idea of money's gravitational pull. That intense, primal need to protect your family's financial safety can be so powerful that it just overrides everything else. In those high-stakes moments, acting with properness or grace can, unfortunately, become a luxury you can't afford. This powerful pull of money leads every single one of us to a core dilemma. One that, if we're being honest, probably feels uncomfortably familiar. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are we genuinely saving and earning to build a future where we are truly free to chase our passions? Or are we just using the endless need for more money as a really convenient excuse to put off the scary, vulnerable work of actually going after our dreams? This kind of thinking traps us in a cycle of waiting. We save money to crawl our way outward. We wait for that magical moment when we'll finally feel liberated. And we keep pushing our real aspirations off to some vague someday that never quite gets here. It just leaves us asking, when is it enough? When does the waiting stop? And that's the trap, because the finish line we're all chasing, it's not a specific number in a bank account. It's a feeling. And how in the world do you know when you've reached a feeling? It's a target that's always moving, which can keep us stuck in that waiting game forever. So, how do we break free from this? Well, maybe we need to reframe this entire idea. Instead of seeing a chaotic menagerie of conflicting interests and burdens, let's try to think about it as something else entirely, something whole, and something truly beautiful. What if all those things that seem so random, the doodling and the programming, the humor and the fitness, what if they aren't a burden at all? What if they're the actual threads that make up the unique fabric of who you are? I absolutely love this final image. It's not a chaotic menagerie, it's a quilt. Every single interest, every skill is a different piece of fabric with its own unique pattern. And when you finally step back and look at the whole thing, you see they aren't mismatched at all. They are stitched together to create something beautiful, complex, and completely one of a kind.
So the real takeaway here is just a shift in perspective. Our lives aren't some chaotic collection of obligations, but a masterpiece that's being stitched together one day at a time. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What beautiful, unique, and wildly different patterns make up your life's quilt? Thanks for tuning in.